Ohio State's defense has been preparing for Michigan all year, and their level of play proves it. This group has every reason to believe they can shut down the Wolverines.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Hump Day edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes, and today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. During today's show, we will discuss why I have 100% trust in Matt Patricia to have the right game plan for this weekend, as well as a few key role players for the Buckeyes defense during the clash with Michigan. But first, one thing we have learned about Ohio State's defense this year is that they have answers for whoever they are playing. From Arch Manning in week one to Luke Altmaier and even going to Husky Stadium, it does not matter who the Buckeyes are playing. This defense has answers, and they show up in big ways, and it's created some lopsided victories for the Buckeyes. And this weekend, while Michigan is very talented, they have Bryce Underwood, who's a talented true freshman quarterback, and you're not sure who's going to get the bulk of the carries for the Michigan running backs, but they have talented guys in that room as well. Andrew Marsh is gaining steam late in the season. Donovan McCulley's a big body receiver. All of those guys have things that they do well. But the Buckeyes will have answers for those athletes this weekend. Not just one answer, not two answers. They have multiple answers for various situations. So the Buckeyes will once again go into a game super confident and use the same blueprint they have used all year. And it's a blueprint that Steve Sarkisian and Jed Fish and even Nick Saban have praised all year, utilizing an NFL scheme that is confusing college football coaches because the way that Ohio State disguises their coverages, it disguises what they are going to do. College coaches are confused by it because they're not used to seeing that on a college football Saturday. You know who else isn't used to seeing that on a college football Saturday? Sharon Moore. Sharon Moore's not used to it either. While Michigan's offensive line is playing decent ball, pretty good ball late in the season, I still think the way that Ohio State's defense is made up and the multiple fronts they can create and show, also being able to have a great picture pre-snap and then quickly change it post-snap, these are just a few areas and a few reasons why the Buckeyes defense will shut down Michigan this weekend. And my confidence in this unit and just this team overall is a lot higher than it has been in previous years because of Ryan Day. The way that Ryan Day was in his presser on Tuesday and the way that Ryan Day has conducted himself all season long, it's been different. I mean, Brandon Inniss even said there is a different look in Ryan Day's eye this year, and maybe it just took him winning a national championship to get the monkey off his back for him to seem a little bit more relaxed and to go all in on his philosophy. And his philosophy has the players fresh, has them loose. It has guys like Caden Curry, Keanu Jackson Jr. playing great ball. Think about the guys in the middle where Edric Houston was banged up early in the year, and Tyler Malone Jr. began starting a little bit, and Cade McDonald's been a monster. You throw in Will Smith Jr., that's a foursome in the middle that Michigan's not used to seeing. The athleticism, the quickness, the ability for those guys to play multiple positions in multiple spots. And if you want to start going tempo, what are you going to find? Ohio State's defenses can still roll with a certain group of players that might not be ideal for a certain scheme. You roll into it because they can do it when they need to, and Michigan doesn't have an answer. Answers for Michigan is something that Ryan Day has worked on all year. But also, these guys are hungry. Think about you coming to Ohio State, and in your fourth or fifth year, you grow into a game in the big house, and you realize you're entering a game where you don't have a pair of gold pants. Forget the playoff. Forget going to the Big Ten title in about a week and a half from now. Think about you rolling into the big house that day on your bus from the hotel to prepare for the game, do warm-ups, put your pads on, and prepare to go to battle. And in the back of your mind, it's, well, Bobby Carpenter has gold pants, and A.J. Hawk has gold pants, and some guys got 4 pairs of gold pants. They played 4 years as an Ohio State player. Well, they got gold pants, and I mean, I look in your lockbox, you look around your apartment, you look in your car, you don't have a pair of gold pants. And that is the type of lack of that's the thing missing in your home that will cause you to go a little bit harder, to fight a little bit more, to be hungrier than you already were, because you don't want to be that player that goes to Ohio State that doesn't have a pair of gold pants. Now, if you're outside of this rivalry, you hear about a pair of gold pants, you're like, man, that doesn't mean anything. Oh, it means a lot. Ryan Day said to J.D. Taft at his presser after the win over Rutgers that now you're playing for hardware. And I'm sure the average person, maybe in the South or outside of the Big Ten, will say, playing for hardware? What do you mean playing for hardware? There's no traveling trophy in this game. There's none of that. No, 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 no. You're playing for a pair of gold pants. And for this defense that seemed like it's been lit on fire at times, that's a great way to get some added motivation to continue to lean in and be all in on what Matt Patricia is going to throw at you. But remember, you don't just prepare for this game this week or over the past few weeks. No, 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 no. You prepare for this game really sometimes from the moment you commit to Ohio State. The weight room, the mindset shift from high school to college, the mat drills and the workouts, all roads lead to this. And when all roads lead to this, you can't just roll into a game against Michigan and hope you can flip a switch. No. You can't do that. You must have a track record of success in the previous 11 games that show that whatever Michigan may do, and I'm guaranteeing you, they're going to throw some tricks at Ohio State. They're going to try to trip them up. I would not be surprised if they tried something in a trickeration variety on special teams or in the punt return game. Why? Because you have to. I know the spread's, 10.5 points right now? Throw it out the window. I don't care about the spread. I've said it once. I'll say it again. I truly have no desire to try to lean into the spread while trying to analyze what's going to happen in this game. Because the spread to me is meaningless. That has nothing to do with what happens on the field. Yeah, Vegas is smart. Vegas knows they're tapped in. Cool. You know who else is tapped in? Caleb Downs, Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, Caden Curry. Well, you could list 15 Buckeyes that are going to play this weekend that are on defense that don't really care about the spread. All they care about is going in there and bust heads. And I say bust heads, it immediately flashed into my head was a scene last year. The first play with Nico Iamaleava came into the shoe, and Cody Simon cracked his helmet. That helmet was, I think it got cracked twice, or he switched helmets and it got cracked again. But they set the tone early. There was a game, it was Florida and Oklahoma in the BCS National Championship game, and I think it was Major Wright for Florida, the safety. Sam Bradford threw a deep pass down the sideline, and Major Wright said, I could have gone for the ball. No, no, no. I wanted to go for him. Laid that man out. I forget who the receiver was. I would say it if I knew it, if it was the top of my head. But the one thing I remember was he set a physical tone in that game. And the next thing you knew, now Florida was already better, don't get me wrong, but you set that kind of tone early, you do that often, that adds into the answers, not just schematically, but physically, that the Buckeyes have for Michigan this weekend. This game's going to be fun. Thanksgiving's tomorrow. You got the game. You got more college football on Friday. But all that is even setting up for, it's kind of the appetizer. The Egg Bowl is the appetizer for the game Saturday afternoon. It's big noon. It's 12 o'clock. And I can't wait to see what this defense does to an offense that's banged up. Let's not forget, Bredesen, a big piece of their offense as well, is banged up and probably will not play. So while you know Justice Haynes is banged up, he likely won't play, and Jordan Marshall maybe will go, maybe he'll play at 60%. Bredesen, a big piece of their offense, probably won't go either. And that's another reason why Ohio State has more answers for whatever Michigan does to try to overcome some of their physical injury setbacks that they're going to have this weekend. Speaking of some answers Ohio State has, the Buckeyes have a great starting 11, but they also have some role players that will be very, very key for the Buckeyes to have success when they clash with the Wolverines. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Guys, the NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push right now. FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thank y'all for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen of the day and for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. In any game you're playing on the football field, there's going to be a good chance that some guys that are backups are going to play. Now, you don't want to be them playing because guys are hurt. You want them to be playing to just strengthen what you're doing on the field. May it be a fourth or fifth wide receiver, may it be 3 or 4 tight ends that Ohio State utilizes this weekend. Whatever the case may be on offense, the same thing's going to go on defense. You talked about a couple of them earlier where you're starting D tackles. Well, it could easily be Kate McDonald and Tyrone Malone Jr., or it could be Kate McDonald and Edric Houston. All 3 of those guys are starting caliber defensive tackles. You throw in a key role player and a backup role in Will Smith Jr., that strengthens what you have with that unit. Think about the linebackers. You already know Sonny Styles and Alvaro Reese, probably the best linebacker duo in the country. This might be a game where you're going to use 3 linebackers and in comes Peyton Pierce, who James Laurinaitis views as a starter. Think about in the secondary. Still up in the air. What's still up in the air is the status of Lorenzo Styles Jr., if he'll play or if he won't play, which goes into Devin Sanchez playing more. Maybe Aaron Scott Jr. plays a little bit more. You got Iggy and Matthews Jr. on the outside. They're going to be the guys that are leading that room and leading the charge and maybe being Swiss Army knives to kind of set up the guys that may be backups that are starting in the big game because of a key starter that is out. The Buckeyes role players are going to be big, but they're going to be big in every single game you play in this rivalry. Because I think I mentioned it earlier when my guy Mo Murphy was on the show on Monday. This is where legends are made. Think about back, don't know the year, but 2018 maybe was the year, maybe 2019, when Chris Olave blocked a punt, who was a freshman receiver that everyone knew was really, really talented, but this is his first time playing in the game. And your first time playing in a game of this magnitude, you might get spooked. You might not be able to play up to your own standard because the stakes are so high. The intensity is something you've not felt in any game this year. This is going to be the most hostile environment that Ohio State has played in this year. You think Husky Stadium was tough to play in and how loud it was? The Big House is wild. It's one of the rare stadiums that actually sunk into the ground, and it just blows my mind. I've driven by it a few times and thinking, wow, so I'm driving past the press box, and there's 110,000 seats that are below me. It's wild to think about. What's also wild to think about, this is not about Ohio State and Michigan, is that Michigan and Notre Dame, who are 2 big rivals, both their stadiums are almost mirror images of each other. Now, Notre Dame's is above ground. Michigan's goes below. Their press box situation is different. The structure of them is a little bit different. But they both only have one tunnel. It's in the same location. In the structure around this, where the seats are, bowl shape. It's very, very similar. It's very odd that 2 rivals that, trust me, I know Notre Dame fans, they can't stand Michigan, have very similar stadiums. But the stadium is one that's going to add to why some of your role players might not be able to play up to the standard. Then you think about Lorenzo Styles Jr. and the uncertainty around him being able to play. That's another factor in this game. But earlier this year, he was also knocked out for, I believe, a couple of games. One of them, Ryan Day said, if it was a close game, he could have played, but they set him out. And I like that mindset that if we need you to go, we'll put you in. But Ryan Day is saying that knowing we probably won't need you. And if we need you to play, then we have bigger issues with our team right now. These guys got to realize when their number is called, step right in and get the job done. Every second, no questions asked, get the job done. And you're going to be going up against, they're going up against 2 really good, like a good running back, George Marshall, a second-year guy that is done a pretty good job of replacing Justice Haynes, who was a leading rusher before he went down with an injury that is believed to be a season-ending injury. Sharon Moore left the door open for him to return later this year, but it just doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Jordan Marshall now leads the team in rushes, rushing attempts, rushing yards, and he's tied in rushing touchdowns. He's has 871 rushing yards, 6.1 yards a pop, and he has 10 rushing touchdowns on the year. He's averaging 87 rushing yards a game. And so when you think about Michigan's rushing attack, losing Justice Haynes is pretty big, but if Jordan Marshall can't go, Bryson Cusdall has been a good third back. Maybe Jasper Parker gets a little bit of a run, but Bryson Cusdall is not Jordan Marshall. He's not Justice Haynes. And so that adds to why some of these role players, you can't just look out there and say, oh, you're a backup or you're a third string guy and just kind of let your foot off the gas. No, Jordan Marshall's a good back. This is one of the rare times you're going to hear me actually be positive about the Wolverines, and I really don't like to be because I don't like that school. They really annoy me in a big way, but you have to realize while this is a matchup game, they have backups that are pretty good backups. So while your backups on the field, they have to raise their level of play. And one thing you're seeing from Peyton Pierce this year is he has consistently gotten better and better and better and better. Will Smith Jr., the same thing. He's consistently gotten better. Now, with the guys on the outside, I have not said much about Jackson Jr. and Curry and one of their backups because I don't know if this is a game where those guys are going to come off the field. And I'm not trying to be funny at all. I literally mean you may have to go 60 to 65 snaps in this game because the drop-off from those two guys to Bo Atkinson is so steep that I don't believe Larry Johnson is going to pull them off, especially when they are so versatile where they can drop back into coverage and you're not losing, not a crazy drop off when they go out there and do that. They can loop around, do all the stunts. They can line up in different situations. And what you're going to find is that they can do versatile things on the field in the same ways that Sonny Styles and Arval Reese are very versatile linebackers. And so their versatility is going to be big in this one because let's say Michigan does go 4 wide or 3 wide and you keep a backup back there. Well, Michigan's O-line is really good. That could be a time when Caden Curry lines up over the center and you have Jackson Jr. lined up to his right and you have Arval Reese lined up in between them two. What are you going to do as an offensive line when you know Arval Reese may come, he may dip out, he may loop around to the outside when you have Jackson Jr. slanting in. Next thing you know, you have a safety, Jalen McClain, coming into blitz 2. What are you going to do? Because I firmly believe those two guys and Jackson Jr. and Curry staying on the field the entire time, if Michigan does try to go 3 wide a little bit instead of going with the heavier set, that's going to play into Ohio State's defense's hands to where they have guys at defensive end that can line up all over the place. Now, you're going to say, Jay, Caden Curry at 260. Do you really think he's going to line up against this offensive line on the interior? Well, yeah. He's done it before against other offensive lines. Why wouldn't he do it this week? It's not like it's a problem for him. He excels in that area. So when you excel in an area and you're getting better while doing so, keep on doing it. I firmly believe, and I would not be shocked if Will Smith Jr. gets a big sack, and I'm going to be thinking to myself, stunting like my daddy, because I wish that was able to watch him play in this game, because this is a moment for him where he could become a legend, be one of those guys where we're saying this is where legends are made. Peyton Pierce, same thing. I don't know if he's going to be a blitzing torpedo, but if he is, so be it. The Buckeyes role players are going to be huge. If Lorenzo Styles can't go, what does that mean for Devin Sanchez or Aaron Scott Jr.? It could mean that both of them play, and they have to raise their level of play so that Ohio State's defense continues to have answers when they play Michigan this weekend. Speaking of having answers, it all goes back to the mastermind, Matt Patricia, the head coach of the defense, and what he has shown all year is that he has had the answers for any offense, and there's no reason why any of us should believe that he will not put together a great game plan to continue to have answers for the Michigan Wolverines this weekend. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Guys, we are in the middle of rivalry week in college football, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to score last minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. I pulled a Game Time, and in just a couple taps, I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite college football games as low as $25. The app made it super simple. I could even see the exact view from my seat before buying. I love zone deals too. Pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save big. Honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way I've bought tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. One thing we know about this week, when the game is the headliner of all the college football games this weekend, is that there may be more Buckeye coverage for yours truly. And I was recently asked to go on College Football Kickoff. It is Locked On's partnership with Amazon to provide a pregame show that only Locked On can provide. And it'll be on Fire TV and I believe on the Locked On College Football YouTube pages today. And I got about a 4 to 5 minute segment on there talking about the game. Julian saying, I even unveil my score prediction there before it's going to hit the show this week. So go out there, check it out. It's fun being on that show, and you get to hear some talk about the Iron Bowl as well, another big rivalry game. It's actually the primetime game on Saturday night, which is another conversation we're going to have potentially at the end of this show after talking about Matt Patricia and the wizard that he is, the man with the pencil in his hat that has always had the ability to push the right button for the Buckeyes defense. He looks like he has new life. And every time I look at Patricia on the field, either in warm-ups or during the game, he looks very, very comfortable. Like he is where he is supposed to be at this point in his career. And he is enjoying life, getting back to coaching and teaching football and getting relationships with young men and not just helping them be great football players, but helping them be developed into being great young men as well. And Patricia has done a great job with this defense, especially coming after last year's defense that was full of seniors. You had 8 guys off a national championship winning defense go off to the NFL. You come in, you got 8 new starters on the defense, and it seems like this defense might be better than last year's defense, just not statistically, but also just with my own eyeballs. It looks like this defense might be better. And when you know you're going to go up against a team with Bryce Underwood, a guy who has gotten better this year, that is athletic, a dual threat ability, the dual threat ability that he has, you have to make sure that your game plan is not just a Texas game plan or a game plan to make sure you're comfortable going on the road to Husky Stadium. It must be your best game plan of the season. You in your mind must make sure that for the past 6+ months that you have been at Ohio State, you are doing the same thing Ryan Day is doing in preparing for this game. And there's no reason why anybody should believe that Patricia hasn't been working on this game plan and hasn't been following along with Ryan Day's leadership and making sure his guys are up to speed with the injury situation at Michigan, but also with what they're doing well and how this offensive line has played lately. As I've been watching them play more, I'm thinking, man, this offensive line is pretty good. And you could tell their head coach is a former offensive lineman with how in sync they are and how when guys go out and guys come in because they've had injuries as well, the next thing you know, they're not really missing a beat. If somebody is dropping the ball, they come out, somebody else goes in, and they're fine. And Patricia realizes, similar to some things he did when he was in New England, where he made a massive name for himself by stopping some of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. If you are a coordinator that can help Ohio State snap a 4-game losing streak to that team up north, oh yeah, baby. He's about to be a legend around these parts. He's already been great. Matt Patricia's already been fun. I had no idea the pencil in his head was to actually help him. I thought it was just a look he had. He put the pencil up there, was comfortable. No, he actually has note cards in his hoodie pocket that he will write on throughout the game to kind of change the game plan and make some adjustments in real time. And so I used to think, oh, he has a pencil. I had never seen him write on a note card in a game. Evan, I've been watching Patricia lead defenses for 15 plus years. No joke. He hasn't been a D coordinator for 20 in the NFL for the past 20 years. So probably 15 plus years. I've seen Patricia roam sidelines in the NFL. I had no idea that the pencil was I know it worked. I didn't know he actually used it with note cards because you always see him do it the laminated play sheet in every single game. Let's think about this really quickly in regards to Patricia's defense, especially in regards to some injuries. Well, Lorenzo's injury right now and the uncertainty. I say uncertainty. There's a good chance those behind those in the Woody know if he's going to play or not. You and I, knowing that Ohio State's not sharing information about injuries like you would like them to, it's still up in the air for us. So while it's up in the air, I think Patricia has kind of prepared Devin Sanchez and Aaron Scott Jr. and Matthews Jr. for this game. Because you may need all three of them to play various roles throughout the game for Ohio State to win. I think they're ready for it. I 100% think they're ready for it. I have no doubt in my mind that those guys are not ready for this moment. And I think Patricia's going to be the kind of guy that's going to lean into Tim Walton's experience, not just as a coach, but also as a player, to really figure out what it's like playing there, what this rivalry is like. Why in the world do they only have one tunnel? How did that get approved decades ago? And why is the fire marshal not overtaken that and made them change that now? I know there were some rumors that they were going to have to do certain things at the stadium to create a new tunnel, but it was going to be, oh, we're going to lose seats, and they didn't want to do that. And, well, what should happen is they should be forced to do it because literally it's a fire hazard. Notre Dame, I like Notre Dame. Love the stadium. Had some friends that just went up there recently. There is absolutely no reason why in any stadium you should only have one way in and one way out if you're on the field. No, that's stupid. That is dumb. That's a safety hazard, and it needs to be changed. Maybe I'm bringing it up now because it's the week of the game. I don't care. Cool. Whatever. It should not be legal at all. No. I have seen too many videos. Now this is high school football, though, but I've seen videos where people are shooting in the parking lot and players run every which way to try to get off the field. Now, granted, you're jumping over a fence maybe, you're running through an open gate. Cool. But you're trying to get away. Let's say there are gunshots outside the big house, and you have 200 players plus coaches plus media plus photographers, videographers, people that are working on the broadcast. Where are they going to go? Out one tunnel? Make that make sense. I would also like at some point to make a petition, and I know Fox would push back on this, but for this game to be put in prime time. I know the traditional time is 12 noon, and it's great for the consistency of the kickoff time. Come on now. And this is also a personal thing, not just because I want the game to be in prime time because it deserves that type of attention. But the better broadcast between the three key spots for Big Ten games to be it Fox, CBS, and NBC, maybe the best broadcast is NBC. Hands down. No questions asked. Not just the best broadcast team, but also just the broadcast overall. NBC is better. So put that thing over there on NBC. Let Noah Eagle and Tom Blackledge and Catherine Tappan call the game and go out there and just hype it up like we know NBC will. Big Noon is cool. It's not better than NBC. CBS broadcasts, I think Fox at times are getting better. I think they're doing better with piping in crowd noise. We'll see how good they are with piping in crowd noise and allowing that to be the soundtrack of the game this weekend. But NBC, hands down, to me, has the best broadcast between those three. Still none of them beat ESPN. If there was a way for the Big Ten to get back and have a contract with ESPN and ABC, this game should be on ABC and ESPN every single time. Put it in prime time. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, put them on the call, and we will be just fine. I would love for it to. I know why they don't. I understand it. I know that these two schools probably will push back on having a primetime game this weekend, but a game of this magnitude deserves the prime time spot. Thank you all for tapping in Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. For your second listen, check out Locked On Big Ten. Craig Sheeman is a guy that's going to give you all the info and then some on what's going on inside the Big Ten football conference, from the rivalries this week to the championship next week and everything in between. Find Locked On Buckeyes and Locked On Big Ten on the YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow me on any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317 at gmail.com. This has been Locked On Buckeyes on a hump day. We'll see you next time.